Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Seed Time and Harvest, where we'll be giving you some practical steps on how to grow food wherever you are.
That's right.
So, Jose, the last time we were here, we talked about overcrowding. What else did we talk about?
We talked about overcrowding, and that reminds me of how we need to get out of the city.
Right.
We talked about also growing beets and radishes as well.
Yes, and as we mentioned overcrowding, we also learned the problems that result as a result of overcrowding your garden. And the biggest problem is pests are attracted to overcrowded gardens.
That's true.
And disease. But today we're going to be focused on pest control and prevention. Now, Jose, tell us more about this topic.
It's interesting when you think about pests. Why are there so many pests? And if you go and look in the scriptures, when it talks about even locusts, it was sent as a plague. And when Solomon is dedicating the temple, he says that we should pray and ask God to forgive us, and then he will take away the locusts and the caterpillars. So that tells us that these pests are a result of sin.
Yes.
And so the way that we overcome these pests is by first asking God for forgiveness for our sins.
Right.
And then cooperating with God to overcome sin and these pests.
That's right. That's right. And we know that there are many different types of bugs. Many people, as soon as you see a bug, you go and you squish it. You don't realize that there are good bugs and there are bad bugs. So tell us some of the common bugs that we have in our garden.
Well, let's take a look at the slide here.
Of course, there are many of them.
That's right.
Yes.
In our slide here, we're just going to talk about 3 common ones that are referred to as bad bugs in the garden. Because believe it or not, there's some good bugs in the garden that you don't want to kill.
Right, that's right. So we have to first learn to identify before we try to get rid of them.
So real basically, we put a list here together.
Yes.
And we have good bugs, which are our common good bugs, and our common bad bugs. So some of the bad bugs that we see in the garden are your aphids, your leaf miners, your tomato hornworms.
Right.
Just to name a few.
Right. And then the good bugs are your ladybugs. You have your wasps, different type of wasps, and you have assassin bugs or assassin beetles. Now, the assassin bugs are also harmful to humans because those are called the kissing bugs. But those are the ones that will wipe out most of your bad bugs. And with the assassin bugs too, they also will get rid of some of the good bugs.
Right.
So you want to control those as
well.
well.
The wasp and the assassin bugs, both of them have poisons that they inject into other bugs. And they use them to feed their larvae.
Right, right.
And so that's why they're called good bugs, because they attack the predator or the ones that are attacking your garden.
Right.
Now, if we look at our next slide here, we see the aphids, because we want to understand a little bit more about them so we can identify them, just like you said, right?
Right, right.
So our aphids there are actually 4,000 different kinds of aphids, and they're sucking types that actually suck the juice from the plant.
From the plant, okay.
And have we ever seen them in our garden?
Yes, and they're always found on the new growth of the plant under the leaves. And these are soft-body insects. They're common on indoor as well as outdoor plants. And if you see ants crawling up your trees or crawling up your plants, it's a good chance you'll have aphids, right?
Just like you see in this picture right here.
Yes.
You see some ants, and they're actually farming aphids. And
why
so
is that?
It's kind of strange to think about ants being farmers, but they're actually looking out for each other.
Right.
And so the ants will take out any aphid that has any disease in it. So it'll keep them strong.
Right.
And the aphids provide nutrients for the ants.
Right, and also the ants protect the aphids from other good bugs like the ladybugs. The ants will also fight off good bugs. So of course, for you to control your aphids, you also want to control your ants.
That's right. And this is a very common bug, and any gardener that has been gardening knows about the aphids because they come and they infest quickly.
That's right.
Another type of bug that we have here in our slide is the leaf miners. Sharice, can you tell us about that one?
Well, the leaf miners, if you look on your leaves, you may find some veins streaking through and you cannot really see. Some of them, like for the tomatoes, you may look on top, and as you can see here, a tomato plant with the different network of veins going through your plant, those are leaf miners, and they actually live in between the layers of the leaves, and they'll just go through and they'll eat your leaf, while you won't have any major damage unless the entire plant is infested.
You know, it's so sad when you're growing something and you're putting so much effort into it, and you see it blossom and grow, and then all of a sudden you're wondering, what is going on? I've been taking care of this plant, and all of a sudden I see these white lines going on. What does this mean?
Right, and then they are the larvae of some flies, beetles, and even moths. And they eat the soft tissue of the plants of the leaves. So of course, you don't want that, because the more leaves you lose, then you have a lower chance of getting a harvest. Now, anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, I wanted to say something before we continue with the bugs. Something that we have to keep in mind is that we need to understand we want a good soil. A good soil will give you a strong plant.
That's right.
And a strong plant will be able to resist these infestations. And so you probably will be able to clip off some of these before it spreads. So you want to detect it early, because they will eat your leaves quickly and they will spread quickly. Yeah,
so therefore the soil is like the immune system of the body, right? If you feed the soil will feed your plants, and if your immune system will fight off those diseases. So the plants, having all that nutrients in the soil, they're going to be stronger to resist pests and disease.
So as we see these infestations, these caterpillars, these locusts, leaf miners, the aphids, as they come into the garden, if they see a healthy plant, more than likely they won't attack it, because it'll probably have too much water for them.
And they'll drown.
And they will drown. They don't like a healthy plant. They actually go after the more sickly ones.
Sick plants, that's right. So that's why you have to make sure your plants are healthy.
And that's a very interesting point that we made there.
All right, and another bad bug, of course, are my favorite, the tomato hornworm. Unfortunately, they are in the category of a bad bug, because the tomato hornworm will do extensive damage to your tomato plants.
Right, caterpillars are very pretty bugs. Some of them can be, some of them.
Some of them can be, and I love the tomato hornworm.
And of course, when they turn into a butterfly. This one, though, what does it turn into?
Well, this one turns into a moth. And you can differentiate the tomato hornworm because it has what looks like a horn on its tail, and they can measure up to 4 inches in length, and they feed on the upper portion of the plants. Now with the tomato plants, you want to make sure that you clip the leaves off from the base so that the hornworm will not be attracted to the plants.
That's a very good tip. I hope we don't forget that one.
Yes, clip the leaves, make sure that you have no leaves touching the soil. All right? They're also found on eggplants too. So wherever you see any little chewing on your plants or chewing on your leaves, they look exactly like the tomato plants, so you have to look very carefully.
And Charisse, when you used to show me these, I remember you pointed out their droppings.
Yes.
It was very peculiar.
They have, it's like a cluster of different shaped casing that you'll generally see the dropping before you see the tomato hornworm.
Right.
So that's what we look for. It's green, and it has like a little clusters, different clusters packed together.
So if you see some leaves chewed up or missing even, because they eat very fast, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And if you see the dropping, this is a good indication that you have a tomato hornworm.
That's right.
And so that concludes our common bad bugs. Now let's talk about the good bugs.
Yes. So the good bugs that we have, as we mentioned, are our ladybugs.
Yes.
And then how do we identify the eggs of a ladybug?
Well, as you see in our picture here, we see the cycle of the ladybug. And the ladybug will lay the eggs. As you see, they are oval shaped, goldish color.
Yeah, yellow gold.
And then they have their larvae, which are the ones that are actually more hungry, I guess you could say, because they eat a lot more than the adults. And so here you have a way to identify them. They actually look like little dragon type bugs. And so you don't want to squish these, right? Why not?
Well, these are, as you mentioned, the larva of the ladybug actually eats more than the adult. So they'll consume more of your aphids than the adult ladybug would. Yes.
And also, like you mentioned, they are attacking the bugs that are hurting your garden. So this is what you want to remember.
Yes.
I don't want to kill this bug because he's actually helping me out.
Right.
Because what better way to get rid of them? You know, if you have to squish them yourself or have another bug to attend your garden for you.
Yes, that would be even better. And you can purchase ladybugs from a catalog. Now, ladybugs not only eat aphids, but they also eat mites, and they'll take out leaf hoppers and other soft-body insects. So ladybugs are very beneficial to have in your garden.
I agree.
So every time you see a ladybug in the garden, you say, oh, praise the Lord.
That's right. We actually get very happy when we see a ladybug. Oh, there's a ladybug.
And especially
no, Michael, don't hurt it.
Yes, we get excited. Right. So the adult ladybug do not eat as much as the larva stage. So when you see those, you want to make sure that you know how to identify them.
That's
so you
right.
don't take them out thinking that they are bad bugs.
Right.
Now another good bug that many people will try to eliminate are wasps.
Yes, wasps are actually, for us, the first thing you think about when you see a wasp is, I need to take them out.
Yes, get the wasp spray.
That's right. But as long as it's not in a high traffic area where you're walking in and out the house, as long as it's further away from the house, it won't attack you. It's only protecting its nest.
Right, that's right.
And so what are the benefits of it in the garden?
Well, of course, the adult wasps, they'll feed on the caterpillars too. And they'll lay their eggs on the caterpillars. So as the baby wasps started to come out, as you see in this slide, you see the eggs of a larva on a host caterpillar. And as the caterpillar, the larvas grow, they will feed on the caterpillars.
Right.
Right? So
and that wasp is actually the first picture you see there. He's actually attacking, he's chewing on a caterpillar. And what he's going to do is he's going to chew it up and feed it to the small larvae as they are feeding on that. And as you mentioned, they also get laid right on the caterpillar, and so they're feeding off of the caterpillars.
Right.
And caterpillars will chew up your garden, won't they?
They will. And the wasps, they also feed on crickets, they'll feed on flies, and other bad pests. And they, of course, as we mentioned, they lay their larvae on host insects, which are the caterpillars.
So when you see a wasp, be careful, but also remember that he's probably going to help you out in the garden.
Yes. And then the next bug, as we mentioned, is the assassin bug, or many people may be familiar with the name kissing bug. Now, this is another natural pest control because there are over 150 species of assassin bugs. And sometimes they get big, so you'll see them and you're like, oh no, let me get my shoes.
That's right. They are not that pretty.
Right. But these are actually benefiting your garden. And how can you tell the difference? How can you tell an assassin bug?
Well, you know what? That's something that we had trouble with at first. Because when we saw an assassin bug in the past, we actually took him out because he kind of looked like a stink bug.
Right.
So there's so many varieties, but how you can tell if it's an assassin bug is by the snout. It's actually a curve-shaped snout that it uses to suck the insect.
Right. So it liquefies its prey, and then it'll take them out that way. So you just be careful because they will bite if they feel threatened, and most likely they'll bite you on your lip. That's why they're called kissing bug.
All right. So we just talked about the different types of bugs and how some of them hurt your garden, some of them are beneficial to your garden. But what can we do? Because we talked about we need to cooperate in the prevention and control.
Right.
So what can we do, Cherise?
Well, what we try to do is we try to stay away from chemical control in our garden because, of course, we have children and we want to eat the things that we are growing.
Right.
So we try to stay on the natural side of doing things. And so today we're going to show you a simple way of using the things that you have inside your home to help the good bugs.
That's
right. And the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to make a garlic oil solution for our pest control. And many of us, you either love garlic or you hate garlic. And it's the same with the bugs. They'll either love the garlic or they'll hate the garlic. And for most cases, bugs detest garlic. They do not like the pungent smell that the garlic gives. Now, when you make your garlic solution, what will we need, Jose?
Well, what we need is some oil and some garlic. That's about it.
That's about it. And just like you're infusing any oil, what you're going to do, as you can see here, we have our garlic sitting in some vegetable oil, the least expensive type of oil that you can afford.
Right, because we're not eating this.
Right. So you're just going to have your garlic sit in the oil for about 1 to 2 weeks. So if you're just now starting your garden, it would be a good time to start making your garlic oil solution. So after what we're going to do is we'll just simply separate our garlics from the shell, from the papery husk, and we'll just ground it a little bit, and we'll let it sit in the oil in a dark place, and then...
You know, a good tip also that I was just thinking is to put a label on it, not for consumption.
Right.
So that you know that this is the cheap oil. This is not the one that you want.
Right, because you can make garlic oil for yourself and use that in cooking, and it's wonderful,
Right.
especially...
We actually cook with that, don't we?
Yes, as a salad dressing or anything like that. You also want to, you can do that. Now here we have our garlic oil solution that has been sitting, and when you smell it...
Yeah, I can smell the garlic.
It smells really good, actually. So you're going to get your garlic oil, and what you're going to get is about a table. This is an 8-ounce bottle. Sorry, a 16-ounce bottle. So you're going to get a tablespoon or 2 of oil inside your bottle, and then we're going to just fill it up with water. All right. So we're going to fill this up with water. Ooh, I'm making a mess here. Now, what you're going to do is you'll just, when you're ready to use, of course you don't want to use the garlic oil directly on the plant because garlic will burn. It will burn you and it will burn your plants.
Is there a specific time when you should use the spray?
Yes. When you use any form of pest control, you want to make sure you do that early in the morning or late in the night, because what will happen is as the sun gets hot, your plants will burn. So you're just going to get the 2 tablespoons of garlic inside a 16-ounce container. You shake it real good and you spray your plants. You want to make sure you get on top of the leaves and underneath so that everything gets saturated. And this will work well for your aphids, for your slugs. It will even deter rabbits and deers because they don't like the smell of garlic.
Right. As we mentioned before in previous presentation, that we actually were planning on putting garlic around.
Yes.
And for the reason of deterring these pests like squirrels and rabbits. And so that pungent smell is what repels them. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't kill them, it repels them. And this way that you won't be killing any of the good bugs. All the good bugs will be there, and you just want to repel the bad bugs from eating your crop, your vegetable or fruit.
Right. And then the next one we're going to do, which is also contains things that you may have in your home, is our spicy mixture. Now with this, Jose, what we're going to do is we're going to get some garlic. Of course, you want to use a whole bulb of garlic. You don't have to worry about shelling them. You're just going to drop them in your blender. Now we're going to get, here we have
some habanero.
Or the hottest pepper that you can find. You can use.
Charisse, you know I don't like to eat habaneros. I don't even like to touch them because they burn.
They will burn. And so you just have to be careful when you mix your habanero or chili or cayenne solution. You just want to simply take the stem off your peppers, and we're going to use 3. All right, and you're going to put those in your blender. And Jose, we're just going to add 4 cups of water to that solution. And the beauty about the pepper is for any chewing insects, like your caterpillars, your mites, this cayenne solution with the garlic, that's good, will be very beneficial because what will happen, they're going to bite that leaf and it's going to be spicy. And so they will not want to chew anymore. So this is very good, as well as the garlic smell will deter them. All right? So we're just going to put everything in our blender and we're going to go ahead and blend this. Now, the only thing with the spicy solution is you don't want to eat whenever right after you spray the solution because it will be hot.
Now, this solution is going to be very thick, so we're going to need to use a strainer. Chunks of garlic and of habaneros in it, but we're going to get rid of that because what happens if you don't?
Well, if you don't, of course, it's going to get stuck in your nozzle, so your spray bottle won't work as well.
And we know about that.
Yes. And one thing you want to make sure you label everything you do. Of course, this looks a lot like smoothie, doesn't it?
Just don't mistake it for smoothie. Make
yes,
sure
it does.
Make sure if you have little ones, they have some self-control, right?
Right. So when you're making this solution, of course you want to use gloves because the pepper is open and it will burn. You can smell it. It smells really good. It smells really good. Hot pepper sauce, just for your bugs.
To each his own, I say on that.
Okay, can you open the blender for me, please? We're just going to rest this cover back in here. Try not to let the water touch your skin. Now, if you can just cover that for me. One more thing we're going to add to our garlic and habanero water is we're going to add soap. Now, the beauty about this is for soft-bodied insect, the soap is going to remove the coating from their body, so it'll make the sun dry them out faster. Now, what type of insect would this be excellent for, Jose?
Now, another interesting point about that is that we want to remember that we're spraying in the morning or in the evening.
Right.
And so this here will deter a lot of insects, as well as it'll deter any pests like rodents. Right. Because of the spiciness.
Especially
so
squirrels.
Very few pests will actually mess with this habanero.
Yes. So here we have habanero pepper, we have our garlic, and we have our water. Now, the next thing we're going to add is our liquid soap. Now, do we use any type of soap?
Well, we want to stay away from any soap that has any degreaser in it, because what this will do is it'll actually eat away the coating of the leaf, and that's the protective layer of the leaf. And so you'll leave it vulnerable. So we want to use a Castile soap. And this one is actually peppermint, which is another addition to deter the pest.
Right.
Anything that smells strong, just so you have an idea of what to use, anything that smells strong is going to repel some type of bug.
Some types of bug, yes. Now, you do not want to use this directly on your plant. Of course, when we go to use this solution, we're going to dilute it some. So we're going to put about, we're going to perhaps cut this bottle in half, and then we're going to stretch it with some water. Now, it has the soap in it, so that also will make it stick more on the plant. So it won't just wash off right away. It won't just run off. The soap is going to make sure that the pepper and the garlic get stuck on your plants. So we will use this on our fruit trees. We will use this on plants that we're not going to eat right away. Because, of course, it's going to be hot.
Yeah, we don't want spicy food.
Yes, it's going to be hot. If you like spicy food, you can go ahead and use this. But this is going to be hot. So I just want you to label this for me as a habanero garlic solution. And, of course, we have this is our separate blender head that we use for our pest mixture in our home, because you don't want to do this and then you say, okay, I'm going to make some hummus. And I'm going to put my hummus solution into this habanero mixture. That would be very hot. All right?
Hopefully you won't be making that mistake.
Here we have one that was pre-made and it's just sitting, and we use this just to spray. If we see any aphids, you can put it directly on the aphids. Things that the squirrels like to eat, you can put it in that as well. And you just find a safe place, and then you can store it there.
Now, for our last demonstration, I want to just give a background about the next one we're going to use. This is probably the one thing that we rely on the most. It'll deter aphids. It'll deter all the kinds of, most of the bugs, even some funguses and mildews. This oil that we're about to use is used by many gardeners. Many organic gardeners use this oil. And it's called neem oil. That's spelled N as in Nancy, E-E-M as in Mary, neem oil.
Yes.
And the reason I spelled it out is so that our viewers can remember that neem oil. This is what you want to look for in stores.
And that's a natural oil because it's an extract from the neem tree. So it's organic.
You know,
and it's
can I give a quick history about that?
Sure.
You know, how they found out about the neem oil was because in India, they had a locust infestation. And just like we were talking about the locusts, and everything was wiped out. All the vegetation was wiped out except for the neem tree. And so they started experimenting using that oil, and they found out how beneficial it was to repel a wide spectrum of bad bugs, even the ones that we mentioned, the common ones today.
Yes, it will also get rid of common bugs. Now, as Jose mentioned, we use a lot of neem oil. For organic gardeners, that's one thing you would revert to. But of course, we like gardening on a budget. So if you are not able to make your solution, we would recommend getting some neem oil. And how do we mix this?
Well, you want to mix it approximately 2 to 4 ounces for every gallon. So it is very strong. Just like the rest of our oils, we want to make sure that when we spray it in the morning or in the evening when it's not so hot so that it'll burn your leaves.
Okay. And then when you spray the neem oil, you may realize that the plants have a glossy look. That's fine. It's because it's an oil. It will not hurt your plants. The good thing about the neem oil solution is that you can eat your plants right away. All you have to do is just wash them really good because it is an organic solution. And of course, we would recommend for every household gardener who are interested in making their own pest control solution to get a multi-purpose spray bottle. These come in very handy. You can get them in the 1 gallon or you can get a 2-gallon container. And it's very effective if you have a large-scale garden. This is easier than walking around with small spray bottles. You cover more surface space.
And you find that your hands starts to get tired after spraying for so long. With these, you just hold it down and it sprays for much longer.
Right.
So it's more efficient and it works a lot better on a larger scale.
That's right. And there you have it. Our natural, organic, budget-friendly pest control solutions.
So just a reminder, we are cooperating with the Lord. Because of our sin, this is what we have to face. We have to face pests. We have to face problems. But even in the garden, as a result of disobedience, we see that the pests are eating the food that we want to eat. And so we cooperate with God, again, by praying and also by spraying.
Yes.
Praying and spraying.
All right, so there you have it. I hope this information was practical enough and useful for you so you can try it to help around your garden. Take a keen look at what you see. Make sure you identify the bugs.
That's right.
Know what you're looking at before you squish because, of course, you don't want to get rid of the good bugs. No, just the bad bugs. And, of course, you can attract, if you can purchase, as we mentioned, the good bugs, you can purchase your ladybugs. You can purchase different wasps that will be very beneficial to your garden. But of course, you can get plants like the daisy family will attract your bugs. Of course, your roses will attract bugs, and different edible plants that you will enjoy also will attract the good bugs to your home, which will help you with your pest control. All right?
That's it.
So thank you for joining us again,
everyone. Happy planting, everybody.
Happy planting.